the Brown boys, the Brown boys, the Brown boys, we the Brown boys, the Brown boys, we the Brown boys. We got one more story where, and this is on Naked. We got a sheriff that is being arrested. They're calling her a DEI disaster, but she's a sheriff that was arrested and got charged with 30 different charges. Let's hear it.
Susan Hudson is not only the first female sheriff of Orleans Parish, she's also the state's first Black woman to occupy the sheriff's office in the state, period.
We're going to talk about history. When you do break a glass ceiling, you got to celebrate it.
A new sheriff in town, Susan Hudson, breaking barriers indeed, as the first African-American female sheriff in the state's history.
A few moments later.
Breaking news. Orleans Sheriff Susan Hudson is indicted on 30 felony counts.
So the first Black female sheriff in the state of Louisiana has been indicted on 30 felony counts. You can't make this stuff up. Here's a quick message inside of your money is tipping into the Gala Connect. This while you also you all Black female
when you do break it
in Louisiana's history.
We're going to talk about history.
Now, you know I hate this, right? Because this is just fan the flames of the man versus woman rivalry. It gives people this, see, look at what happened when Black folks run it. Look at what happened when Black women run stuff. And there's so many good Black women out there. It's a shame that some of these women will get in place. And she's not convicted yet, so I'm going to say she's innocent to proven guilty. But when these indictments come down and you have the first anything, and they're up under that much scrutiny. I know, I've been the first before, but you're up under a lot of scrutiny when you're the first. And when you do illegal things like this, it puts a stain, or allegedly do illegal things like that, it puts a stain on everyone else. So I hope that this young lady is not guilty of what they are accusing her of. But we'll just have to wait and see.
When you do break a glass ceiling, you got to celebrate it.
A new sheriff in town, Susan Hudson, breaking barriers indeed, as the first African-American female sheriff in the state's history.
I was looking at how long Louisiana's been a state, right? 200 plus years. And all that time, not one African-American woman has been able to get to this position. 2022, right? And so you're like, it's time for all those barriers to be broken down.
First a parade, then the inauguration ceremony.
Now, Susan Hudson is
and I don't want to sound like a colorist, but I want to see some dark-skinned, big ankle, big hand Black women in some places. We always got to have these Rosa Parks looking women. Ain't nothing wrong with Rosa Parks. Ain't nothing wrong with light skin. But I want to see some. It just seemed like these, I'm just going to come out and say it. It seemed like these half-breeds, not half-breed, but mixed people, they have this blackety black ideal, but they don't really understand the struggle. I don't know. I would just want to see a full-blooded Black woman in a situation and just see. And maybe it'll be different. Maybe it don't. I just want to see. It just seems like it's always these Rosa Parks, well-to-do, put in place people. And that don't seem to be working.
political activist. She's extremely progressive and left-wing. And before becoming sheriff, she actually served as the independent police monitor for New Orleans.
Let me give you a little bit of a background of Susan Hudson. She's running on a progressive platform, and she scored a major endorsement from Orleans Parish District Attorney Jason Williams, who also ran on that similar progressive platform during his race last year. Now, Hudson has no political experience, but says it's time for a change, and she's focusing on what she calls the 3C ideology: care, custody, and control. Before voters.
Wait a minute. She has no political experience? It's not going to happen. Hey, Cash Rich, wishful thinking. So wait a minute. Hold up. Wait. You darkies here have to get over it. He talking about you darkies got to get over it. That's crazy. But no, she had no experience. So my question is, how did she get in? What did she get in for? They didn't make her start at a grassroots level and just show some type of activism. Why did she get in? So maybe she was handpicked. Maybe I told y'all, we keep playing identity politics, and this is not going to work in our favor. You can't pick inexperienced people to come run things and then wonder why. I got no experience at running a grocery store, but you go put me a charge at a whole store. I got no experience of running a car dealership, but you just going to give me the keys and say sell car. I got no experience. Like, what happened down there to where they just put her in place? I think I know.
Named her sheriff. She spent 11 years as New Orleans independent police monitor.
So you have this extremely progressive sheriff whose plan essentially is, we don't really want to punish people. We don't want to put people in jail for their crimes. We want to pretend like crime doesn't exist. And this is horrible for the people of New Orleans because New Orleans has a huge crime problem. Remember when the district attorney of New Orleans was actually carjacked with his mom?
My mother's really shook up. She keeps reliving it. But we're just thankful that we're alive. Nobody's hurt.
This is surveillance video from moments after the teens allegedly.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't, man. Holy shit. You telling me you hired the only responsibility this woman had ever was monitoring the sheriffs, was monitoring people. And then you gonna put her in charge, and the district attorney and his mother is running up the street. Come on, man. Come on, dog. Come on. Who robs the district attorney? Whatever happened to the gangsters being gangster? We got a lot of young little street punks. You do not rob a man with his mother. You supposed to give a dude a pat. See, this is why so many dudes getting unalive, I believe. They putting bad karma on themselves. They putting bad. You don't do stuff like that. Even when people was in the streets, they had respect for women. If they caught you with your woman or with your mother or with a child, they gave you a pass. This man ain't even in the streets, and you gonna rob a district attorney that's with his mother? You're telling me that we gangster, right? You telling me that these young boys are rob a white district attorney with his mama? Hell no. We look at each other as a means to an end. We look at each other as a means to make money, a means to get over. And then these little clowns think they're supposed to have the right to do anything to you because you ain't supposed to snitch. You supposed to stand there and take it. That's why they don't do nothing to the white boy. The white boy gonna call the police. You gonna sit there and try to be real. This is sad.
Stole Williams' car. Amaja Curtis, Dejon Curtis, Santan Gilmore, and Ahmad Seals have all been charged as adults in this case.
So the people of New Orleans said, hey, let's hire the most progressive anti-police person we could as sheriff. And that's what they did. So what do you think happened? Well, obviously things went off the rails immediately. See, since she is sheriff, she handles the jails. And immediately inmates went crazy and conditions at the jail worsened under her tenure.
Yeah, but weeks into Hudson's tenure, inmates in a high security pod at the Orleans Justice Center barricaded themselves in that pod, blocking out staff. That standoff lasted 3 days with inmates demanding better conditions. A report by federal jail monitors claimed that conditions in the jail had worsened in some cases under Hudson's oversight.
So under the progressive sheriff, things actually got worse for the inmates, not better. And then the controversies just started racking up. For instance, her incompetence caused the court to hold her in contempt because she wasn't securing transportation from inmates from the jail to the court.
A New Orleans judge is accusing the sheriff of contempt of court, and she's now being ordered to appear before that judge tomorrow afternoon. Criminal District Chief Judge Tracy Flemings-Davalier says that Sheriff Susan Hudson is ignoring a court order to transport recent arrestees from jail to magistrate court on weekends and holidays. Now, during the pandemic, that process was paused, going to Zoom and then doing transports during the week. However, on June 18th, the judge issued an order for Hudson to resume those weekend and holiday transports beginning this past Saturday.
Now, this became so bad, they were going to sentence her to like 6 months in prison with with a $500 fine. But the appeals court last second stepped in and said, let's slow it down because she is the sheriff.
Last Friday, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals temporarily suspended Sheriff Susan Hudson's contempt of court ruling at the last minute, and WWL exclusively received the documents supporting that stay by the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. Sheriff Susan Hudson was set to face up to 6 months imprisonment or a fine of up to $500. That's because the Chief Judge of Orleans Parish Criminal Court held the sheriff contempt of court for failing to provide a staff of deputies for magistrate court for weekend sessions.
Now, if being found in contempt of court is not enough, the money started becoming a little funny. Now, context is key. During Mardi Gras, the city is packed. Local law enforcement needs backup. The sheriff backfills her staff by bringing officers from other parishes. Since these officers are coming from out of town, the protocol is to reserve hotel rooms for them so they can have a place to stay while they work those grueling shifts. Now, as per protocol, the sheriff reserved a total of 90 rooms across multiple hotels. And obviously, these rooms couldn't be used by the sheriff's own staff because they lived in the city and they could just go home. So why would the sheriff's department need to pay for hotel rooms for the local staff? They live there.
Information from the New Orleans Office of Inspector General about Sheriff Hudson's hotel reservations during Mardi Gras. The rooms were supposed to be used by law enforcement who had to drive into town to help the NOPD during parades. But in a new report, the Inspector General finds that the sheriff reserved 13 rooms at the Omni Royal Orleans for her command staff, not for any out-of-towners.
Damn. Boy, the sheriff got a lot of power. Boy, I told y'all the sheriff got a lot of power. The sheriff spent, the total room charges, $18,174. Charge for unused rooms, $11,046. Whoa. Damn. The sheriff ain't playing. She living in luxury, boy. And she ain't letting nobody from out of town stay there. Everybody from in town stayed there. They was like, look here, I'm not finna drive through all this traffic to get down and back for all this. We gonna stay right here. We gonna party and stay right here. Oh, man, we keep voting these people in. This is crazy. She's an elected official. And you already know what we did. We gonna make her the first black woman in office. See, these milestones that we trying to hit, ain't that better? Did it help? These identity politics, these milestones that you think that goes down in the record books that help you as a whole, as a group. Do you think it's helping you now? It's all virtue signaling. These milestones and these mile markers are no good. You have to stop playing identity politics. We don't need the first black this. We don't need the first black that. We need change. And if that come through a black man, if that, because nobody want a black man in office. They want a black woman everywhere. If that comes through a black man, a white man, a Asian man, whatever, or a white woman, black woman, a Mexican woman, it doesn't matter. We need to get the right person for the job. Look at what they're doing with the hotel stays. Everyone that keeps talking about Trump, everyone keeps talking about all this other stuff. That's smoke and mirrors. Trump is going to be out of office soon. Look at how the people are running things on a grassroots level. The Democrats in California got people living in the sewers. People are fleeing California, New York, Baltimore, all these major states. If the Democrats were so great, why is everyone fleeing their state to go to a red state? It doesn't make any sense. We just found out that Tim Walz was involved or was complicit in the Somali scandal so that he can get votes. It's a shame what these people are doing. Sending jobs overseas, sending our money overseas so it can come back to them in little payments. Allegedly, I think I snapped.
Her staff members stayed there for a total of 37 nights, but the sheriff had reserved and paid for 90 nights. The total cost of about $18,000. And according to the OIG, most of that came from the 53 nights when the rooms remained empty.
So the sheriff had a lot to answer for. Why is your staff staying in high-end hotels when they live in the same city? Here's what the sheriff had to say.
I don't see a controversy here. No, I see this as being money well spent to make sure that $1 million was also well spent.
That was Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson defending her decision to house 13 top deputies at local hotels, some for 11 days and nights while they helped with Carnival Parade security. But within hours of that interview, here was Hudson again.
An honorary deputy of the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office. Love my sheriff.
That was Hudson thanking the owners of LA Canine, a police dog training company in Vermilion Parish. The company agreed to donate more than $19,000 to pay for those hotel rooms at the Omni Royal Orleans, Sheraton, and Marriott. However, in this Facebook post by one of the owners, Lance Broussard, he characterized the donation as helping the sheriff with, quote, a little problem.
So crisis averted. The city got all its money back and the sheriff was off the hook. Now, we got a problem. We got this woman who's been elected sheriff. She's supposed to be in charge of running a jail, but has no experience running jails. So things kind of got out of control.
Legislative audit just released today scrutinized 3 years of operations at the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Department. It found over 1,000 instances of potential payroll fraud, leading to chronic staff shortages and missing cell block security patrols. The auditor found deputies performed less than 30% of required cell checks, and some cell blocks just performing 4% of those timed security patrols. Staffing is a source of the problem, according to the report, with some deputies allowed to double book shifts, staffing off-duty details at the same time they're scheduled to secure the jail. The auditor counting over 1,300 instances of what the report describes as this potential payroll fraud involving 179 deputies over 3 years.
So as you see, the sheriff wasn't really doing a great job. And then you had the fact that there was a massive jailbreak.
Massive manhunt after a stunning jailbreak in New Orleans. 10 inmates escaping, some charged with murder, all considered armed and dangerous. And authorities tonight investigating whether this was an inside job. Here's ABC's Maria Villarreal.
Tonight, these stunning images from inside a New Orleans jail cell where 10 inmates, some charged with murder, escaped, sparking an urgent citywide manhunt. The toilet dislodged from a cell wall, exposing an opening, scrawled on the wall above, "We innocent and too easy," with an arrow toward the hole where they escaped, out of view of the officer on duty.
Yeah, the inmate was right. This was too easy. So here's what authorities said happened.
Authorities say it happened just after midnight when the inmates broke a lock on a cell door.
They were still able to exit the jail about 1:01 a.m. after breaching a wall behind a toilet in the jail. And based on video surveillance, they were seen exiting a door on the docks where we normally bring in supplies, scaling a wall and running across the interstate.
Officials believe the escapees had help.
These detainees received assistance in their escape from individuals inside of our department.
They say the toilet could not be removed with bare hands, suggesting someone inside the jail system may have helped the inmates unscrew it with a power tool.
And yes, there was an inside man. Police arrested him.
The hunt continues for the inmates still at large after breaking out of the local jail in New Orleans. But cops say they found the inside man they believe helped them. A maintenance worker at the jail has been arrested, accused of cutting off the water.
The jail worker has been identified as 33-year-old Sterling Williams. He reportedly claims he was coerced into turning off the water by an inmate who threatened to shank him if he didn't play ball.
Now, just to put everyone's mind at ease, all 10 of those convicts were returned back to prison.
In another development months in the making, the last of 10 inmates who escaped from a Louisiana jail in May was captured today in Atlanta.
Officials say a Crime Stoppers tip this summer led them there, and they found the fugitive hiding in a crawl space.
10 men who escaped from a Louisiana jail in May by crawling through a hole cut in the wall behind a toilet. Above the hole, someone had written messages to the jailers, including this misspelled one, "Too easy, LOL." Groves was the last of the 10 escapees to be found and also the most violent. He was convicted of murdering 2 men on Mardi Gras in 2018.
Damn, they got a message called "Too Easy." That's crazy. She better not have a boyfriend in that group. Well, it seems like a lot of these people get in there and they do this soft on crime thing because they I don't know. I guess it's because we black and we don't want I don't know. Some of these I just don't get it. Crime is crime. I don't give a what color you is. I'm sorry. You unalived 2 people at Mardi Gras. I don't do the, she black. No, this nigga up everything. That's how I look at it. You know, this is crazy. Yeah, this the dude that was in Atlanta. He was in Atlanta chilling at a girl house. And I'm pretty sure he unalived 2 black folks. So we'll cheer for people like this. He unalives 2 black folks. We'll put somebody black in office to make it about race. Oh, we don't want to lock up black people. Hell, I do. I want to lock up anybody who trying to unalive people and making the streets unsafe. People used to know better than to go shoot up restaurants and everything else. Now, hell, you'd be stupid not to have a firearm on you to protect your family and your kids because everybody is walking around with one. All the criminals got one. So this shit is crazy. 10 black folks getting out of a jail cell at one time. All these guys escaping, running around, laughing, making mockery of the law enforcement is only going to make the prison system worse. It's only going to make it worse when these other people get power back, which they will. They're going to be done with this experiment of, oh, we're playing identity politics. They're going to come back with rule of law, and this is only going to justify what they do next. And this is what people don't understand. They keep claiming we don't have no power and all this other stuff. When they come back with this law and order stuff, and when they come back with this law and order stuff, I'm telling you, it's going to be crazy because they got too many examples. It seems like our leaders are complicit with this shit.